So, yes, we are embarking on another evolution of the JJ protocol, of the JJ mentality. And evolution is not easy. Evolution is not easy. Evolution is not easy because it's reminding you that you must balance out both sides of the equation, of which a person has failed to do. Okay? And so that is the layers of programming that the Jilly Juice crowd and the world are peeling back bit by bit, and it's not easy. All right? It is a period of research. It is a period of cause and effect. It is understanding intention. And it's still acknowledging the wins. But it's also saying, okay, we have just crossed over a threshold, a boundary that has now put us in a different state of existence that is not the intention. But it's hard to know this because we don't know what to expect when somebody is evolving on a continuous level. See, that's the thing that we don't know as humans, is what is continuous evolution? What does that look like? What does that mean? How does it feel? It's like forging a new path, on a mountain that was not already previously cut for you. And so that's what the Jilly Juice mentality is. It's forging new paths, going down the road less traveled. You could use that cliche or that idiom or whatever. And so now we're discovering that what continuous evolution is at first you have to exercise your first lines of defenses, your second lines of defenses, and hope you never freaking ever get to your third line of defense. And so, yes, the Jilly Juice happened to cure the first lines of defense to mitigate the second line of defense, because we're preemptively doing the second line of defense, and in hopes that we don't reach the third line of defense, but in a dynamic environment, and if someone is not eating to the level of their electricity, of the energy in the environment, then they will trigger a type of de-evolution. And it's not because of the food supply, it's not because of Jilly Juice, it's because they have failed to keep up their insulation to the level of the piezoelectricity. Because when you have 5G, 6G, 7G, you have 50 million viruses mutating, you have so many people out there that are stressed out from just the politics, religion, and science. That's a heavy electronic force that is also a thermodynamics that's going to then spin the wheels and cause you to use more energy than you're able to sustain, because you're still thinking that everything is the same as it was prior to COVID. And so now we're understanding that there is definitely a balance that we must understand when it comes to not only the healing process or the evolution process, but also keeping our substance up to the level of the electronic forces. And that is something that must be understood on a physics level. And so when you're using J Juice to disappear your symptoms and destroy your first line of defense and your second line of defense, and then maybe you hope you don't tap into the third line of defense, but in this environment, it's everything is possible because people are not keeping their substance on their body. They're washing it away. Every time they feel something, they take a J Juice. They feel something, they take a J Juice, and then there's also all the viral electricity, and there's the 5G, and then there's the stress of the lockdowns and the stress of reacting to all the activism. And so they have 3 times, triple times the energy that they are expending, more than they're actually retaining. And so now it's about not using J Juice to get the poop out. Yeah, you can use coffee and cream, but it's about eating to the level of the energetic environment. And that is something you never hear in the allopathic holistic, because they're all about taking food away from you. They're all about dieting. They're all about controlling your decline and controlling your incline. And what does that mean? It means they keep taking away different pieces of energy because you don't want to feel pain. And so now I realize that it's very easy for humans who have been so like brainwashed into that type of mentality. They will find anything out there that is safe enough, that's like a food, because they did that in the herb world. They took all the garlic and the cayenne and the kimchi and they're like, oh yeah, it's a food, but now I'm going to use it to do as an antibiotic to stop the evolutionary energy. And so that's how food has been weaponized against people, is because they use food to stop the evolutionary process. And so then you have to understand what makes up food. What kind of energy is involved with food? Chili juice has a lot of energy. So does the cayenne pepper. So does all of the different spices. So does all the different minerals that are used in reaction to anything. And so now you have to understand intent. Intent is huge when it comes to any type of evolutionary process. And so now I have to now rewrite my book and my introduction and how I'm going to introduce all the different themes. And it's not going to come from a conspiracy point of view. There's no way. Because how does a government and how does a medical system control people's energy so that way they're not always flying off into freaking left field? They're not always glitching all the time because they haven't figured out how to support their energy, their evolution. So there's nothing wrong with Fauci. There's nothing wrong with Bill Gates. There's nothing wrong with really the medical system. But you have, as a human, have to understand how to keep the substance on your body and then how to deal with the electricity in the environment. And so that's why you can't demonize really anyone or anything out there, because now it's up to you to figure out how you're going to adapt to the environment. Because everything is about adaptation. But you have to know what makes up all the electricity for you then to figure out how much you have to eat to maintain that existence, or else guess what? Your vital organs are going to be exposed. And so if you don't want to deal with symptoms, if you don't want to deal with pain, then you're going to go back to the system where they keep taking away things versus adding to your body. And then you're not allowing the intelligence of your body to release the excess, release the old programming, and take on the new programming. And so yes, when one of my friends got off the J juice finally, then all of her predispositions came to surface. So chili juice is a proven cure, yes. Not that was my intention. We just happened upon it accidentally. But in this environment, you don't want to use cures in this environment because you need the substance on your body. You can't afford to wash it away. And that's what's going on. So once she finally got off the J juice, because she's been doing it faithfully like every day or every other day, which is great, fine, and she's eating food, so she's maintaining, but there's more electricity in the environment that's going to be double more than what she is retaining. And then she's not feeling the evolution, so she's in this curative state. As soon as she got off the J juice and finally dealt with the viruses, because she'd been recently vaccinated, which is great, that's fine. Then she finally has to deal with her predispositions, and it's going to be a bitch. But you have no other choice. You deal with your predispositions, or you hide it behind all the different foods in the food supply, because foods can be used as a cure. And that's how the medical holistic system has figured out how to use the environment to stop your evolutionary process, because they know you don't want to feel pain. And you've told the system, I don't want to feel pain. I want to be in this fantasy land of being in this cured state, which, okay, I get it. But now with this environment the way it is, regardless of where the virus came from, it doesn't even matter because it's here. And so you either deal with this virus and figure out how to adapt to it, or you'll forever resist it and try to use J juice, try to use the food supply, try to use something else to stop the evolutionary sequence. And you're seeing that in your friends and family. But you're also seeing that babies are right now dealing with emergency situations and they're not on the J juice, They're out there dealing with an environment. There are people who are in the hospital because they don't have what it takes to handle this piezoelectric environment. There are people seeing an uptick in their cancer disease, chronic illness, because they can't handle the viral evolutions, the agonist antibodies that are producing piezoelectricity that's causing growth that they can't handle because they don't have enough substance to deal with that thermodynamics. So believe me, there is not a lot of people doing J juice. A lot of people on my newsfeed are not doing J juice, and they're suffering from the environment because they don't have the substance to handle the evolution. And then when they do feel the evolution, guess what they're doing? They're taking organs out. They're taking things out. They're using different suppression protocols so they don't feel their evolution. And guess what? They start diminishing. They're losing collagen in their skin. They're aging and degrading. They're losing the fat cells that should be giving them the prostaglandins so they can actually evolve. Or they're working out, trying to release energy, or they're going to Reiki and yoga and doing all these different things to try to release energy. But they're not actively retaining it because they're afraid of the GMO, they're afraid of the food supply, they're afraid of anything out there that is not local and organic. They're afraid of processed foods, and so guess what? They're going to be in a continuous state of decline. And even those that are not underweight, but they're obese, they still have issues. And so, yes, they're getting nipped and tucked and they have enough substance to deal with all the electricity and they're going to feel the symptoms. But every single time they take their remedy, every single time they go to the hospital to go get something taken out or nipped and tucked and plucked, they will be in a progressive decline that will accelerate because these viruses are going to be so much more intense this next 3 months, if not already. And so now I have to be able to write my book in conjunction with that, with now how we use J juice for those that are obese. They can stay on it until they get proportional and then get off and eat the food supply and deal with the viruses. And when you're underweight, you get off the J juice, or if you're proportional, you get off the J juice, deal with your predispositions and stop using anything to stop the evolution. And yeah, you're going to have skin things come to surface. You're going to see everything. And that's why salt was like very important in antiquity, because it was a type of curative type of modality. And then somehow salt was kind of put on the back burner because it did raise a lot of evolution that people weren't ready to deal with. And so that's why they say, okay, you only have to have this much salt, because people weren't ready for the evolution. They didn't know how to support it correctly. And so then here comes the Jilly juice that has so much salt with the probiotics. So that made it actually not antibiotics. So it couldn't be anything that would be construed as an illegal thing. It's the antibiotics and the cures out there that are being promoted through the medical holistic system that it's illegal to make claims. But it was illegal for me to make claims too, because we're not trying to disappear symptoms. That was never the point of J juice, but that's how it kind of turned out because people figured out how to use J juice. Because yes, it's very easy to take 2 pluses and turn it into a minus. No different than taking 2 negatives and turn it into a positive. Well, what are the 2 negatives? Oh, I'm feeling all these evolutionary symptoms. It sucks, but I got to deal with it. And then guess what? Those 2 negatives will turn into a positive if you can stick with it and keep adding the insulation to your body and deal with what you have to deal with. And so many people are in different states of decline or incline. And yeah, it's not easy. I mean, you hear about the birds in Ohio, they're going blind and everything because they don't have enough substance to deal with the evolution of the viruses. They're not only around people, but they're around the environment, the pollen, the panspermia from the storms. They're totally exposed to all the viral evolutions, and probably the smaller birds will have a harder time to handle the evolution because they're not intelligent enough to pack on the pounds because they can't even see. But you as a human have enough substance to know, okay, these are the indicators. I have mucus. I have a sore throat. I have this. Don't try to stop it and use Theraflu, all that stuff. As soon as you turn to the medical holistic system, you are now on a state of decline. So, Jilly Juice protocol book right now has been retired. I'm going to now work. It will take me the rest of this year to write this next book. And I had a feeling that I was not going to release it this summer or even this fall. It'll probably be winter, spring. The latest is spring, the earliest the winter. Because now I must position this correctly so you understand that Jilly Juice retroactively forces you to deal with the evolution that you've suppressed. and then proactively says, do not try to devolve yourself again, and have you trained to know that you can deal with the evolution, the symptoms, and all of that, and you won't die from it. So as long as you keep supporting your body correctly with the food supply. And how do you say that in a book when everyone's so black and white? Either they're positive or they're negative, but they don't know how to balance out both sides. And how you balance out both sides is you have to deal with pain and support it correctly with the food supply, and understand everything is about physics. It's all freaking physics and thermodynamics. And so that is my goal, is to get this figured out this year. So good luck, everybody. Watch my videos. Keep up. All right, bye.